Okay. Um, Today I want to kind of speak about something I wrote maybe a couple weeks ago. Yeah, a lot of weeks ago. I wrote this March 5th. So about 3 weeks ago almost. Um, and it's something that like I deal with myself, but it was when I was reading in James. And I kind of title it like wanting this and wanting that. Um, you'll figure out in a minute why. But a little context, myself, um, in a season where I'm like trying to strive after multiple things. I want this, I want that, whatever it is. And in James it poses a good question. It poses the idea that like should we get something just because we want it or do we deserve to get it? Right? And I'll hint on that in a little bit, but like I don't know. Let's just get started. So we're gonna be reading in James chapter 4, verses 1 through 8. It's 1 through 8, but I only got to verse 4, so it's only one through 4. But I feel like it's really deep for me personally. But anyway, let's get started. So, the first verse kind of starts off and it says like, "What causes quarrels and what causes fights among you? Is it not that your passions are at war within inside you?" That when I first read that, I was like, okay, what does that really mean? But then obviously as I got deeper, I'm like, okay, fighting and quarreling, it's an outward expression of things, but it's stemmed from that which is internally, right? I kind of put it like this. I said, is it not your passions? I said, James poses two questions here, right? But seemingly he reveals the answer in the scripture. It's our passions, right? The question he poses is what causes quarrels, and then what causes passions among you, or what causes fights among you. And he answers it saying it's the passions in you. So that passions can look very differently between who you are. You know what I mean? If you're struggling with money, that's the passion that you have. Like anything that's an idol, lust, idolatry, whatever that strong vice is that's not pleasing to the Lord, that's that passion inside you that rustles inside you that you wrestle against. And if it's not put down, that's going to cause some outward expression. Then you're going to be fighting with friends or your significant other because of that gambling addiction of that, or that lust that's in your heart, or you idolize this in your life instead of taking care of family and kids, like things that I think of for my future that could potentially cause quarrels and fights among the people around me. And I said passions are anything in you. I should just read. I do this every time. I need to just read off of what I wrote. I keep trying to anyway. But anything that causes you to be selfish in getting what you want, no matter who it hurts. So like I just said, like I sit there and I think, okay, well, I want something, or something's happening, right? Whatever this fight among I have with someone is, it's stemmed from something in my heart. You know what I mean? And you do things, no matter who it hurts, no matter the person that's in the way, right? So it's like earthly things as it's revealed, as we keep reading, like quarreling and fighting against one another, just because whatever is in you is stirring in you and you are being led by it. I sometimes am led. You can be led by emotions that are not good. You can be led by the passions that are in you that are not good. You can be led by those things. If it's lust, then it will show in how you live. Lust is a very powerful thing because all it is a desire to keep chasing after a gratification that will only be achieved if you keep striving after it. That's what it is. And I kind of see it as like always striving for the next best thing because you're never satisfied with what's in front of you. And so it makes you post fights. I feel like that's what lust does. And it's the war that's within you. You know what I mean? Something's just not good enough. So you go and strive for it. You keep striving. You keep searching for that perfect green grass yet all you had to do was go water the grass that's in front of you. You know what I mean? Or you're searching, you're looking at the forest and missing the tree. That's what lust does. That's my interpretation of what lust does. Is you're continuing to look at every tree in the forest instead of valuing the tree that's in front of you. And that causes a fight. That causes fights and quarrels. You know what I'm saying? The thing that's within war inside you, you struggle with it internally, and then it spreads and it creates war affecting all the areas of the body. It's like a cancer. You know what I mean? Whatever that passion or vice is for you, it's just gonna spread. And it hinders you from being at peace with others, right? So we're gonna move on to verse 2. So we looked at what causes quarrels and what causes fights among you. Now we're going into verse 2, and it says, you desire and do not have, so you murder. You covet and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. You do not have because you do not ask. It's as simple as asking. A lot of things is as simple as asking. And a lot of times we don't have something because we don't ask. I've learned something that's been with me for the past weeks is if you never ask, the answer is always no. It will always will be unless you ask. But you don't do that. You desire something and you don't have it. So you go as far, or I go as far to the extreme to go and murder. Obviously, hopefully you're not out there murdering, right? But you want to covet something and you can't obtain it, so you fight. You do all these things to obtain something that's with a war, because it's a war inside you, right? I said it like this. I said, do you not see the doubleness of the text? You want one thing but can't get it, so you do this. And so we'll come back to that hopefully. But the verse repeats. The verse represents the need to get my own way, trying to have control, and it's to the extreme because that's how big the war inside you is. It is a lack of humbleness, right? Humbleness is saying we don't have control. But when you go and murder, when you go and covet, when you go and do all this to get what you want, you're trying to have control. That's not humbleness. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble, right? And you wonder why you don't have grace. I wonder why I don't have grace. Calm down. Anyway, we have to get our own way, and it eventually amounts to nothing in the end, right? Something like that. There's only one person who is able to bless us with such desires, and that's Jesus. I sit there and I wonder about this and that. I've made videos about that because I want something. You know, I want many things, but it's not up to me to try to go out and get those things myself. It's only Jesus can provide those things. You know what I'm saying? Where was I at? Okay, but sadly, I don't ask Jesus. I do, but it's wanting something. But instead of just asking for it and patiently waiting too, that's important, I try to go out and get it myself. And that leads to more fighting, more quarreling, more lust in my heart, more idolatry in my heart to certain things. Whatever those passions are, whatever that I'm seeking out, that it reinforces those passions, that fleshly motive inside me. You know what I'm saying? So I saw like this. I said, taking something, the art of taking something can get you what you want, but how long until you get caught or constantly looking over your shoulder, looking in fear? How, you know what I'm saying? Eventually you'll get caught, or if you don't get caught, you're going to be constant in fear. When all you had to do was ask. I sit and I wonder why I'm alone when all I can do is ask someone out, but we'll get to that later too because I don't deserve it. But it's just about asking. Since we were kids, we've been told to ask. Just ask for this, ask for that. If the answer is no, the answer is no. But from a kid, we're being told to just ask. But I don't have to do all these theatrics to get something I want. But because my passions are so strong within inside me, I go to the extremes just to obtain something that firstly I probably don't need or I probably don't deserve, but yet I desire so heavily. It's wild. Colossians 3:5. To help with this, we have Colossians 3:5. And it says, put to death, therefore, what is earthly in you. Sexual morality, impurity, passion. So James just talked about it. Okay? Passion. Put it to death. Sexual immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and covetousness, which is idolatry, put it to death. And I'll say a disclaimer. Putting something to death, yeah, that's important. But we live in this world that is evil, and zombies exist. And sometimes even putting it to death, it'll come back. But it's an everyday task of denying yourself, continue to put it to death again. You know, that's what I think. But put it to death, yeah. But we have to humble ourselves. I have to humble myself, and just being able to put away my pride, and being able to ask. I'm not too good enough to ask for something. If I never ask, the answer is always no, right? This is long. I don't know if I'm going to fit into one video, sadly. But anyway, taking something that's not mine and I end up hurting someone in the process. That's not good. You know what I'm saying? All because I desire so much. That's wild. And then, so we look at 2 verses. Hebrews 12:14. It says, pursue peace with all people and holiness, without which no one will see the Lord. If you're not at peace with yourself, you can't be at peace with other people, because the passions are in you are stirring. So you can't be at peace with yourself. God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. I kind of looked at it because as a man, there's a huge struggle, but anyone just in general, but like a lot of the times people in this world, they want to get married just to have sex, you know? Not a good, what do you call it, indicator of a good marriage. But anyway, but it's only made, right? That's only found good behind the art of marriage, right? That's why that's the rule in the Bible, right? But I saw, it's like, okay, how do you get married to someone? You have to ask them to be your wife, or hope that a man asks you to be your husband, or no, hold up, pause. Hope that a man asks you to be their wife. You know what I mean? It's about asking. And even then, sex shouldn't be the only thing important in a marriage, but that's only obtained through marriage, which is only obtained by asking. So it's all about asking, you know what I'm saying? Okay, where is that? But anyway, so now we go to verse 3. This is the verse that I like a lot. Because it's like, okay, well, you told me just to ask. I'm going to continue asking. That's what I was like, okay, I'm just going to ask. That's fine. I desire, I want, so I'm going to ask for it. Verse 3. You ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly, to spend it on your passions. Just like I said before, if sex is the only reason to get married, you're not going to find a wife. If gambling is the only reason that you want money, God's not going to bless you with money. If running, I love to run, but if running's only going to boost my self-ego, my pridefulness, if it's not going to glorify God, if I'm going to become too self-centered, why do I need to continue to run, or run in races, or win any races, or do anything within my own nature if it's not glorified to God? I'm not going to have that gift, or I shouldn't be using that gift. You know what I'm saying? I put it like this, like asking your parents for money, but you only want to go spend it on something that's not right to spend it on. You know what I mean? So like, you ask God for this, but you don't get it because you want to spend it on this, or you want to use it for this. Your heart is not in the right place. It's a heart issue at the end of the day. It's always been a heart issue. That's what your passions are inside you for. It's a heart issue, you know? Selfish motivations. That's what it's all encompassed by, right? That's the basis on which we live. You don't get something just to only use it on what you want. Like I said, I talked about money and things like that. I talked about like godly women. Like, I'm not going to receive a godly woman if I'm not the godly man I need to be. If I have bad things in my heart that's not going to allow me to treat her like a godly woman, then I will never receive her. I'm not going to be able to go here or go there if I'm not going to do it with the right intention. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about what's in the heart. You know what I mean? And it's like, and in verse 4, you know? Yeah, verse 4. You adulterous people, right? We're talking about adultery. Do you not know that friendship with the world is enemy with God? Whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy to God. Sitting at 2 tables, trying to serve 2 masters. Your master of the master of flesh and obviously the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Adulteress. What does adultery mean? It means to have more than one partner. And that's wanting this and wanting that. That's desiring, but also murdering because you can't get it. That's also, what was it? Hold up. Oh, that's coveting, but then you can't obtain, so you fight and quarrel. There's the double entendres, you know what I'm saying? And then he ties it all in verse 4, is adulteress. Enemy, friendship with the world, enemy with God. Double meaning on things. Which one do you want? Do you want to desire? Do you want to murder? So many things, right? When you start going from one table back and forth to the next, you were trying to be here and be there. But on the side, you're still gratifying your flesh. I read in Galatians 6:8, and it really helped me this morning. And it says, "For the one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption. But the one who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap eternal life." Kind of thought of it as like, what am I sowing every day when I get up? What is causing, like today I had a productive day. You know what I mean? It was very productive. What was I sowing? If I had a bad day, what am I constantly sowing? What is leading me to passions that are in me? What am I sowing the word? All these Bible verses back here, all these Bibles right here. What am I sowing the Spirit? So the Spirit is dwelling in me? Romans 8:5, for those who live according to the flesh, set their minds on the things